Hello, my name is Andrea DiFabio, and I'm the Arts and Entertainment Correspondent for the Delaware Valley Italian-American Herald. I recently had the pleasure of interviewing Felix Cavaliere, co-founder, co-lead vocalist, and keyboardist for the Rascals for a Q&A segment in our April issue. He kindly joins us today on Zoom to follow up on our chat. Hi, Felix, how are you?
I am okay. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So I know that you and co-founder, guitarist, and producer Gene Cornish have teamed up for a Rascals 60th anniversary tour, which makes a stop at the Keswick Theater in Glenside, PA on Friday, April 18th. Can you let fans know what they can look forward to seeing and hearing at the show?
Ha, sure. Well, we basically put on a rascal performance with all the hits, and I try to make everybody join in, sing, and I also include some kind of songs that they might remember, little bits, snippets, and we got a little special treat coming up too. We've got a young, during one of the things that happened is we met this young boy, who's like 10 years old, and he's going to open up the show for me. So that should be fun.
Oh,
He's
that
like,
sounds really fun.
well, he's a
Discovering
really
some,
he's a talented kid, really. So
oh, nice to see some new talent.
very new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet
So
you.
when we spoke the last time, you said that one of your greatest honors was being inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, is there one song in particular of all the songs that you've written? Is there one that's maybe one of your favorites? And what would be the inspiration behind the song?
Well, it's kind of like, if you have kids, you know, and if somebody says, "Well, who's your favorite kid?" So what I say usually is, it depends how they were acting. Right now, I must say that People Gotta Be Free is my favorite. And the reason is because the world is so that those words are still very important and very needed. So right now, that's my favorite song. And I'll tell you why. As far as you want to know the origin of it or how it happened, well, I was working for a campaign in those days. I was working for Robert Kennedy. I
Okay.
really thought we needed a change. And I was seeing a young lady who was actually there at that horrible day that he was assassinated. She was present at that hotel out in Los Angeles. And I just felt obviously so devastated because all of that work and he won the primary and it was gone. Uh, that song just came out. And fortunately, it's been like in those days it was number one all over the world in all the oppressed countries. Like when they had the Berlin Wall, Hong Kong at that time, Union of South Africa at that time, and America. So right now that's got to get the number one tag.
That's great. It still resonates today, right?
Unfortunately, and fortunately, yes.
Yeah. What advice would you give to an aspiring songwriter?
It's very different today. Very different. It's it's a whole different world today. I would just say, like, look, do a lot of songwriting, and if you can hook up with a computer and learn how to do, like writing to a computer, make a lot of demos. The reason I say that is because it's pretty expensive to make demos with live people, and just keep writing and keep writing. And if you have the option to play the songs you've written in front of people, uh, you could get an instant reaction. And if you find something that people really like, take it to somebody. And if you don't know somebody, I'm sure there's a lot of online services that you can join. Just got to be careful to make sure you're copywritten and protected. But to just go out there in the world is pretty difficult right now. I'll be very honest with you.
That's some good advice. Well, I know that you recently re-recorded My Hawaii. You collaborated with Dolly Parton. And I wanted to know, are there any artists that you have not worked with yet that you would like to work with?
Well, how about ones that are not alive? How about that? Huh? That's pretty
Oh, or
cool,
ones
huh?
that are not
Yeah.
alive?
Yeah. Well, I have worked with a lot of different artists over the year, Billy Joel and, even Bruce. I'd shared a stage with him during some special events that we did, especially for 9/11. Uh, I don't know. Sharing a stage with some of these guys that I really admire and idolize might be a little difficult. Like a Prince or a Michael Jackson. That would be a little tough.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, there's groups that I think would have been great to sit with, like from South Africa, Lady Blacksmith. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yes.
You probably have them in your collection there. Uh, they would have been a great, great, great group to collaborate with.
Okay. Well, I have a question that a friend asked me to ask you, and that is, he wants to know why did Atlantic Records never release a live Rascals album?
Well, they recorded one. That's when they were first looking at us. They came out to where we were working in Long Island at the Barge, and they recorded a live album. I think as far as that live album, they didn't release it because in those days when you worked at the clubs, you didn't do your originals. You only did covers, and I don't think they wanted to do that. I don't know why we never did another one. Uh, Not sure.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic live. I mean, I've seen a lot
Well,
of different clips of you performing, and you're great. You're amazing.
well, that's the idea. When I put that group together, I actually had three guys who were leaders of their bands. They were frontmen. Eddie was a little too young, but he could have been a leader as well. So that's why, I mean, we had a record deal in 6 months. And the reason is, seriously, because the group was very powerful, and, when you got some so-called headliners at each position, like an all-star band, it really was, even in our own limited way, it's a good band.
Yeah. I actually happened to listen to a track this morning. Cute.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you
yeah.
really, it shows off all your musicianship. That instrumental is just, it's so tasty and trippy. It's really fantastic.
Well, we used to close the shows with that, and a lot of people, I don't know, I guess I don't know that they would like it today, but in those days it was like, as you say, it was just a way to kind of show your thing, show your what do you call it, doing and enjoy. Nowadays we probably get them more dancing, you know,
Yeah. So you encourage dancing at the shows?
always.
Always.
Well, I do that in my show. I use this bit that it's evolved to this story. Well, our first show was in Garfield, New Jersey, and it was at a place called the Choo Choo Club. And one day the proprietor came up to us, and we were just starting out. And he says, "Son, come over here. I want to tell you what makes a good band." And I told his story. You see that song you just played? Everybody got up and danced. I said, "Yeah." He says, "They went back to their tables and drank." He says, "That's what makes a good band." So that's why we do fast songs. So anyway, I tell that story, whether it's true or not, I don't even remember. But
Well, it seems like everyone was having a good time then,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's
And
the
that's
old
what you still
school.
want.
When you work in a club, if they don't dance, you got a problem. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, clubs were before concerts. You know,
True.
and
That's right.
they were, and like when people get up and dance, it's sort of like an applause, and an approval, and they have a good time. We have a good.
Yeah. Well, I know you cite some of your musical influences as Sam Cooke, Ray Charles, Marvin Gaye. Were there any Italian or Italian American musicians that had an influence on your musical career? And if so, who were they?
Well, Dion, Dion DiMucci, Dion. became a good friend, and he certainly influenced me because he was from the Bronx, and part of my family was from the Bronx.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'm trying to think. In those days, a lot of people changed their names. I mean, you got Tony Bennett in there, but
Right.
that wasn't his name.
Right.
You know, uh, Frank Sinatra. But these were before rock, and I think a lot of people changed their name. I didn't want to change my name. Because Cavaliere is a pretty good Italian word. If you look it up, it's kind of it means gentleman, horseman. Those are the
Right.
Cavaliers are the ones that guard the Pope. And I
Oh,
think, I'm the third Felix in my family, my grandfather, my father, myself. Reason being that Saint Felix was born near Naples, where my father's family comes from. So for me to change my name, I think would have been an insult to the family. And I know that people they can't pronounce the last name. They have trouble with the first name. But I just think it, I'm real proud to be Italian. I'll be honest with
yeah.
you. And so I've been in a lot of Italian American associations across the country, New Orleans and Wisconsin, New Jersey. I'm proud of it, and for anybody who is not, I suggest they book a trip to Italy and see what we're all about.
Absolutely. I mean, traveling to Italy is, especially if you're Italian, it really gives you a sense of pride and it makes you understand a little bit, more about your culture when you can get there and experience it firsthand.
Well,
There's such history there.
well, no, yeah, exactly, and they're not all mob people. Oh,
No,
gee, and the
no.
women are gorgeous, and the clothes are
The
gorgeous,
clothes,
and
yeah.
the art is gorgeous, and the food. Oh my God. So, I mean, seriously, when you see all those things and you say, well, this is where my people come from, you can smile.
Speaking about food, the last time we spoke, you said that there's a small group of Italians down in Nashville who get together for like a potluck dinner. I guess everybody prepares a different dish and brings it to share. When you go to that potluck dinner, what dish do you bring and do you make it yourself?
It's only men, and I clean up.
You clean up?
I have been gifted all my life with having fantastic women who know how to cook. And as a rule, they don't allow me in the kitchen.
Oh
So,
boy.
no, seriously, I never learned. I've been spoiled rotten by wonderful, wonderful, cooks and chefs that I called family. And so, basically, this group we call it Manja. And there's a place in Nashville. I'll do a little commercial for a friend of mine. This one of the gentlemen that we work with opened a place. It's called Manja, and what he does is he brings on Friday and Saturday nights like Italian wedding to the restaurant. It's kind of
Wow.
like people who don't know one another. They all get together. It's like a 3 or 4 course selected menu. I mean, you get like three different choices. Uh, the Godfather is on two screens, and the waiters and the waitresses dance in between the servings,
Oh,
and they invite
fun.
the people. It's really a lot of fun.
Do
So
they play Italian music?
no, they play like they play grooving, and they play
Oh,
like
nice.
Temptations. Yeah, no, they don't because I'm not sure that I think most of the people that go there are not Italian, But so anyway, it's a fun group of guys that live here. A lot of them most of them in the music business. Like for example, my drummer right now, his name is Vincent Santoro.
Oh,
He's a great cook,
nice Italian guy.
and he brings great stuff, and it's nice because you see, like for example, like where the families come from is how your food is,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
yeah, so
That's
they
a good
bring
point. Yeah.
yeah. So they bring things that, like maybe I didn't see, because of my family background.
Right.
But from his family or from their families. So it's really fun.
Okay, you, if I remember correctly, when we spoke last time, you have family from northern and southern Italy, right?
Correct, correct.
So
Yes.
you had the full culinary experience from,
Well,
the top to the bottom of the boot, right? You have tasted everything?
I don't know if you saw the Stanley Tucci special on CNN. Did you see that?
No,
It's
I
all
saw the series that he had, something Italy. I forget the
well.
title.
Basically, what he did is he went to all the different regions of Italy, and so showed you what they prepare, what they're known for, and it's very varied. I mean, like like I said, I've got two of them, but there's so many different places. That's a really fun series. Like if you want to,
Mhm.
you kind of learn, what the different cultures eat over there. Because as you know, Italy was a series of, uh, I guess, kingdoms or princedoms,
Right.
that they united. And the food was, listen, if you go over there, you don't have to say anything, just try it.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
And you do enough walking around, you don't have to worry about gaining any weight when you're eating the gelato and the pasta and all the good food.
Yeah, but a lot of people say to me the same thing. Like a lot of people have gluten problems. A lot of people can't eat pasta. A lot of people can't eat cheese.
Yeah.
Well, when you go over there, you can. They probably don't use what do you call them, the GMOs or whatever they're called. They
Right.
probably don't use preservatives.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not just the food, it's the art, it's the beauty, and it's the pride.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the pride of Italian culture, is there anything specific from your Italian heritage that you hope to pass down to your children and to your grandchildren?
Well, yes, it's kind of an old-fashioned word, and it's called respect, which unfortunately Americans, I know down south they have respect, which is where I lived, down in Nashville. When I first came down here, you're greeted by sir, or ma'am.
Mhm.
And I don't know about going that far, but the word respect is kind of disappearing. And that's one of the things, besides, of course, all of the cultures with the holidays and the cooking, etc. It's that word that really rings with me for this generation to be aware of.
Right, right. Were your parents not strict, but they instilled that in you, the respect for elders? And I know
Yes,
growing up in an Italian household, that was important in our household.
of course.
Yeah.
And because it's just like a lost kind of trait, and it should not be, because if you don't respect your father, your mother, your elders, you're probably not going to respect anybody. And
Mhm.
we don't need that, but we're having
Yeah.
it. So we got to, that's the one answer to the question that I would give.
Well, speaking on along those lines of respect and passing that down, I was going to ask you what you think about the Italian American culture in the US today. And as far as the younger generations, will they carry, their culture with them and, follow being respectful, the strong work ethic? What do you think? Do you think they'll still continue to embrace their Italian heritage?
Well, I tell you, when you travel, the world, you realize that a lot of the other people in the world, so therefore also in the United States, they're really affected by the movies, and the television shows, but mostly the movies. So if all they see are gangsters, if all they see is that, I don't know if we're going to be able to continue that. You know what I'm saying? I think that if they happen to have a manja club, or if they happen to have an association like you're representing today, they have it. But otherwise, no, I don't think they're going to be able to continue it. The movies, they've got to sell tickets, but I guess it's not exciting to show artists, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and show that what they created. I guess that's not, you don't get the ticket sales.
Right.
But like it's not all killing and raping
Right.
and murdering and drugging, there's that side. And that's why, when somebody from the Italian American Association asks me to do something, I do it.
Well, that's terrific. Well, I know there was this past year, there was the movie Cabrini, which was about Mother Cabrini.
Yeah.
So that was a positive depiction of, an
Yes.
Italian American and
And my,
someone
my,
who,
my mom, rest her soul, she was part of that world there. That's where she worked, was at the hospital there in New York City, Mother
oh, okay.
Cabrini. And there's some good stuff on Netflix. There's a couple of Italian, if you don't mind subtitles. There's one called The Leopard, Il Gattopardo, that it's done in Sicily. It's gorgeous. And then there's
Oh,
another one, The Law According to Lydia Poet, that kind of goes back away about the females in Italy trying to be, equal. As far as she was a lawyer, it depicts a lawyer trying to, get status. They were a little rough with women in those
with
days.
the women,
So
yeah.
there's a lot around beside the, you know,
Right.
yeah,
Well, we have to encourage people seek out that type of entertainment, that type of Italian
yeah.
representation in the entertainment world.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's on Netflix, so I'm sure people, if they don't mind the subtitles,
Right. Well, they could practice Italian then too, right?
exactly.
Keep the language alive.
Yeah, which is important. I mean, I've got a
Yeah.
granddaughter who lives. My sister has a granddaughter that lives in Georgia, and she really, really got good at Italy. At Italy, okay, at Italian, and she was sent over there as part of her school. She goes to the University of Georgia, and she says, "I want to live here. I want to live here," and it's still alive, kinda.
Yeah. Well, I know you've been to Italy before. Is there a favorite area that you have there that you like to visit?
Well, I think Florence is right now the number
Right.
one. I really enjoyed that. Uh, I had a great trip over there a couple of years ago, which I don't know, like I doing a lot of I'm doing a lot of advertisements for my buddies here, but there's a restaurant in New York that is called Latanzi's. It's on 46th Street in the Broadway area. The gentleman who owns his name is Vittorio Latanzi. He was born the same day, the same year as I, except for he was born in Rome and I was born in New York. Anyway, long story short, they were having a what do you call it, a renewal of the vows in Italy, and we went there. I took my wife out there, and boy, I'll tell you something. It was like so cool because they didn't know we were coming, and here we are
Oh,
in this. It was a little remote town, about a little north of Rome. But yeah, like Florence on that trip really stuck out. That was really great.
yeah. Florence is beautiful.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Lots of beautiful art there.
Yeah,
And
and
if
and
it's
they show it off. You know what I mean? It's in the streets actually, not just
yeah,
in the museums. So
right, right.
it's nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. Well, Felix, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your Italian American experience with us. We
Well,
look
it's my
forward to seeing
pleasure.
you at the Keswick Theater.
Well, I hope you do come to the Keswick. I've invited you, and I hope you can make it.
I
And
will
if
be
you,
there. I have tickets. So
okay,
I
well,
hope I will get to see you. I'll bring you some of our newspapers.
oh, great, and
And
yeah,
hopefully,
we'll make, yeah,
we could get you a subscription maybe so you can read us every month.
I'll take it. But good, it's great that you're doing this, for them. And yeah, as I say, anything you need from me, I'm there for you. And I look forward to seeing you in person. And thank you so much for taking the
Oh,
time.
thank you. Well, the Rascals 60th anniversary tour stops at the Keswick on April 18th. There's some tickets remain. You can get them at keswicktheater.com. And you can see my full interview, my Q&A with Felix on our website, Italian-American Herald.com. So thanks again. Have a great day. It was great seeing you. And I'm really looking forward to the show.
Excellent.